Hello there. Now this week I'm standing in a field at Tullykevin, and we did a story about a plane that crashed during the wartime, 4th of July 1944. A Hellcat was the name of the aeroplane. She had left Ballyhalbert Aerodrome and was going out just over the fields here to the Grey Abbey coastline, where there's a little island, mid-island, where they strafed targets. And she had left Ballyhalbert, was on her way to there, took engine trouble, and the pilot tried or decided he was going to limp her on to Newton Ards and try and land. He had a bit of height, but anyway the engine seized, I think is the gist of it, so she had to be crash landed. And this is the field here where she crash landed. Now there's Gibson behind me here. This is just across the field from his house. So Gibson phoned me up and said, Ivan, I have a fella coming with a metal detector and we're going to go over the old site. The farmer has reclaiming the field here and it's sitting fallow at the minute, and it's a good chance to go to the crash site. So he's had a couple of finds, a couple of rounds and bits and pieces off the aeroplane there, obviously. Now it's also a sad, humbling experience, or what would that be the right word, for a site where someone was killed on, especially during the wartime. So there's that little feeling in the background too as you're digging up things, out of the ground. But anyway, we'll go and take a little look at this and what we've found and what we're finding. There's the boys down the back there. Now this was in the 1840s, I think Gibson told me, a slate mine. Now it was all done by hand, there wasn't any digging, it was just the rocky naps there, they carved the slate out of it. So it has been reclaimed here, but this is where our aeroplane came down. She landed just where I'm standing, our first hit into the ground, and she burst into flames obviously and went on fire. The pilot lost his life, young fella. Sad occasion. So, but down round where Gibson is there, they're finding bullets and bits and pieces off the aeroplane from almost 80 years ago, wartime. Now this is a very rocky, uneven field, humps and hollows, rocky naps on it, not a good place to land anything, but it's kind of boggy ground as well, so the pilot would have had in his mind, he'd been searching where he could belly flop without doing too much damage and trying to save his own life. So we'll go over here and have a word with Gibson and see what he's found so far. What have we got, Gibson, here?
Oh boy. Well, there's the first bit. We got a bit of a horseshoe, and then we got a whole horseshoe, and then somebody's missing a wrench. I don't know what age that is, but I think if I steeped it in diesel, maybe we'll free it up.
So would that be, is possibly that's a wartime wrench from whenever they were reclaiming the plane here?
It's very possible, but this is more the interesting stuff here. These are wee bits of the wiring loom, Hellcat blade, but we want to know what these is. I'm pretty certain that they're 20mm. The bottom of the base are 20mm cannon shell, and we got the heads. I was ringing the buyer trying to find out if
there's green paint on that.
Aye, green. The two of them, the green heads on them.
So these bullets are unexploded, because when you look in below at the cap, it's not, you don't have any wee indentation where it's fired. So these have been in the plane when she went on fire, and it's blew the side out of this shell.
Yeah.
And that's the head.
The bullet has been made off. But if you look inside, cordite still on.
Hold on there to a focus. Yep.
You see that, the wee grains?
The wee grains of cordite, or is it gunpowder? What, I'm not au fait.
Cordite or something like that, but cordite most likely. No black powder. It's how we
still in the bullet.
Aye. So if you get that would sit like that, and then your bullet would sit out with something like that there,
There you are, very interesting.
So it's either 20mm, and this doesn't actually say on it, but the Hellcat fired 50 cals American, so it was half inch heavy bullets, you know. So
there you are.
So it's very possibly that. I was trying to contact the fella there who would know these things, but he's no answering the phone.
But if you know the answer to that, what size of round it is, what the green paint means on the tip, just put a comment in the comments box.
Yes.
Now the metal detector man has just brought us another piece of, looks like wire and loom, or to me it looks like a novice's guess. It would be something to do with a spark plug onto your spark plug in the engine, but I'm not sure. It just looks like something like that. What do you think, Gibson?
You can see it's a bit of age on it. There's still a bit of wire sticking out the middle of it, but you got it over there next to the dike, and the plane just sort of come down where not off where we're standing, and it's amazing. It's still in pretty good shape, but you can see it's sort of like a bit of versatility on it. The whole idea of being able to move.
Yeah.
And then there'll be it's no plastic, but it's rubber. It didn't hate plastic then.
Well, it's definitely from that era.
Yeah.
So a wee bit about this field here, Gibson. Well, I've already said that it was a slate mine here, but it hasn't been laboured, this field, at all.
No, that's what you're seeing at the minute is the farmer here, Lawrence, this was all bushes, and he's all chopped up. That's why it looks as if it's sort of a bit barren. But this was Tullycavey quarry, made by slates.
And
the mid 1800s, and I think the last sort of slate was dug out around the turn of the century, before the First World War, you know. But my granda, there's a field over the owner, you know, that corner. You see them bushes just the far side of it, out at that corner, and he was the last gent to plough that, and he done it with a horse and plough, and that would have probably been just after the First World War, because he was only a lump. He was born in 1899. And I think he said he was in his late teens. The war was just by. Here's another wee bit we got here. And you can look at this, you can see the height of the bullet. Now the thing's exploded. But part of the casing, instead of just blowing clean off, is still stuck to the bullet, to the head. See that?
So that was possibly in the plane when she went on.
Oh aye, yeah, aye. She crashed, then she bounced, then she hit down again. That just flew out. And then this is another thing. We've got some sort of like a top of switch or something here. Look inside. Knurled screws, I don't know. Yeah.
This may be part of his radio, or?
Well, if you look at, see the 4 holes on it, so like it's.
And there's a wee bit of wire through that hole.
Yeah.
So that's just kind of a locking device.
You would think that.
So, and there's a wee spring in that cap.
Yeah.
There, whatever it is.
There is indeed a wee spring. So we'll soak her in diesel and see how we go. If we get her freed up.
I don't think it is anything like that. It's right, whatever it is. Get the pinpointer. Shell.
At the end of it.
Right.
Oh, it is indeed, aye.
Same size, isn't it?
Oh, it is, aye.
Now, I'm going to butt into the story at this point, because once I left Gibson and the site where they were metal detecting there, I went on to interview another farmer about a totally different story. But I just happened to say to him, oh, I was just coming from across the fields there where the old crash site is. I says, did you know anything about it? He says, yes. He said, I saw it happening. So here's John Bailey from outside Grey Abbey with the story of this actual accident happening. Now I have to say at this point that Gibson was relaying the information he was given. We were in the correct site and she did fly out of Ballyhalbert. But John tells us how and what was going on that morning.
Well, a lot of years ago, I was only maybe 3-4 year old, and I was sitting in the toolbox of the tractor with my father. We were cutting hay. It was in June, and there were 4 planes came out over the top of us, and one of them seemed to turn off the wrong way and caught the wing of the side plane. Well, it cut the wing off per half of it, and that poor fella headed off. He had no control of the plane anymore, and he headed off, and the plane came down and went on fire 3 or 4 fields away. Well, they took me up, left me off at the house, and my father and my grandfather went off to see the remains of this plane. Well, I think the plane more or less burned out, and the army, who was close by, had come up and was in attendance to keep everybody away from the plane. But anyway, sometime later we found parts of the plane, of the wing, in the field, in 2 or 3 of the fields, and there was one of them was the pipes off the helicat, the fuel pipes, which would take the fuel from the wings to the engine. And there was a chap came one time inquiring about it, and I managed to find him this pipe system, and he took it and he put it on a wee plaque and got the dates and the name of the fella that was in the plane who was killed. So I think there's a wee plaque over on the Tillycavey Road with some details on it, which I haven't even seen yet, but I have the wee plaque of the pipes mounted. The man got them from me, mounted them and brought them back to me. I never thought I'd see them again, but he did, he brought them back to me again. So I have them, and still there.